Both parties have returned to their positions. Let us continue the trial. When last we left off, Mr. Linney acknowledged the new evidence presented by Lady Farina as fact. Therefore, Lady Farina may continue stating her reconstruction of the events.
That took long enough. Now then, if everyone would lend me their attention. At this stage, let's revisit that scene from Linney's perspective. Countdown began, he entered the tunnel. When the flatbed trolley passed, he opened the box and got into an altercation with Halsey, which caused the loud thud. He did not realize that the sound could be heard by everyone in the opera house, which is why he claimed earlier that he could not hear the sound. Finally, he used the vase to knock her out, before making her change clothes to prevent others from recognizing her. At this time, Cowell arrived in the tunnel, having heard that strange noise, and caught Linney red-handed. So Linney proceeded to knock him out too before stuffing him into that box. Afterward, Linney passed the unconscious Halsey to his accomplice through the magic box in the audience stands, before operating the device. And there you have it.
Does the defendant's side have any objections to Lady Farina's description?
The key to refuting Lady Farina is the order of events. Seems... According to Linney, he left via the vent after entering the tunnel. He couldn't have had that altercation with Hal. Linney went to the room that contains the Oratrice's core. This is the actual truth. Linney did not take part in the underground altercation. He only...
Attention! When the countdown started, Linney did indeed go into the tunnel. But he immediately used a vent to access the Opera House basement, which is where the underground core of the Oratrice is. Once he reached that area, he heard a voice in what should have been an empty room. Since he felt something was amiss, he returned immediately. The crime scene had already developed by the time he reached the tunnel again, and in order to complete the magic trick, he did not remain there for any length of time. Finally, he reached the surface, and that was when the accident happened from his point of... Time
other words, you believe that he knew nothing of the incident?
That's right!
My reasoning?
If that's the case, then if Cowell hadn't entered the tunnel, who was the entire setup meant to kill? Assuming that what you say is true, Linny only needed to kidnap the young girl to cause a new disappearance case. What would the point of killing someone on stage be?
Oh, they have a point.
That's right, you tell him! And that's why they're partners of mine. Oh, well, your denial is very strident, I'll give you that. But what proof do you have to back your claims? Of course I do. If he had been in the magic box, you're saying that he wasn't.
Are you sure we don't need to give this more thought? That's right! Linny wasn't in the box or in the tunnel. That's why he didn't hear any. This means that when the crime happened, Linny had already entered the basement via the vent. The same clue you used to disprove his alibi has now become the best proof!
Well played. To think you'd use such logic. Well then, if it wasn't Linny who committed the crimes, then who was it?
Halsey is the missing person and an ordinary audience member. Could there have been a third person involved? The deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's assistant. He...
Huh? That can't be...
Oh, is that...
What I must do next is recreate the truth. What Cowell did, and how he went from would-be... Linny was not in the tunnel at that moment. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing Halsey and the No one entered or left the opera house through its entrances. The deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's assistant. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel. The sound we heard may have come from... Linny was not in the tunnel at that. It would have been tough for both people. No one entered or left the... The deceased's name is Cowell. Linny was not in the tunnel. No one entered or left the... The deceased's name is Cowell. The sound we heard may have come... The deceased's name is The sound we heard may have... It would have been tough for both people to... Lenny was not in the tunnel at... No one entered or left the opera house. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel. So, there must... No one entered or left...
What's wrong, Traveler? Are you still having trouble?
I see how it is.
Look, since we're at a dead end, why not consider a different track? Just like the trick as it transpired.
If only we knew how...
Well, that would be nice, but the tunnel only has 3 exits. And it's not like this is a magic trick where you can just make a real live person disappear. You know.
Excuse my interruption, dear opponents, but do you not see that the crowd is...
If the defense is unable to make further effective arguments, we will move on to the next stage of the trial.
Lenny was not in the tunnel at that... The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing... The deceased's name is Cowell, Lenny's assistant. No one entered or left the opera house through its entrances. The vase was not broken by chance. It was...
Paimon gets it! It all comes together if Halsey disappeared. Lynette escaped from the water tank, vanishing gradually and leaving only clothes. If there's a similar
Oh, just a moment, please. How could a person ever be transformed into water? This is reality we're talking about here. Must we really? Magic tricks are ultimately just illusions and misdirection. But Halsey's disappearance is very real.
Even so, I trust the Traveler's judgment. The truth must be out there somewhere. Perhaps some new line of reasoning may open if we try to gather all... Since Cal was the deceased, we haven't placed much attention on him. But given that we aren't making much progress with the case, it wouldn't hurt to have a look at his belongings, would it?
People really do come up with all sorts of harebrained schemes when at the end of their rope. The way I see...
Nevertheless, I believe that this is a reasonable request on the part of an attorney. Since the trial does indeed appear to be at an impasse, guards, please step into the lounge and examine the personal effects.
We are still examining the items, but we have already made critical progress that we feel must be shared with everyone post-haste. We discovered several test tubes of fluid within Cowell's baggage, each labeled separately. The notebook in his backpack claims that these fluids are... water from the primordial sea.
The primordial sea?
The note's contents also indicate that Cowell belonged to an organization that sells illegal drugs and that he had an accomplice. The notebook has many entries concerning safe usage of these fluids, in which the keyword dissolve appears many times. One of these tubes was labeled Opera Epiclese, along with yesterday's date. It is empty. The notes also state that these dissolution properties work exclusively on people from Fontaine. It's likely that Halsey was chosen as some sort of test subject. As such, we believe that the defense's hypothesis is, in fact, supported by sufficient evidence.
You've got to be kidding! People dissolving into water?
Could something so ridiculous actually be true?
Wait a moment. This reminds me of a certain prophecy.
If people can become water, does that mean that the water tanks really... Wait just a minute. Could that mean...
Demoiselle, wait! What about your partner?
Let's go. Just trust me.
Order! Order! It is undeniable that further examination of... Still, let us assume that these clues are indeed authentic, albeit with the guards. Please continue examining the items along these lines. Mr. Linney, it appears your hypothesis is supported.
Of course. If we uphold this hypothesis, I believe that many of this case's seemingly unrelated clues can be connected together.
Right! Like the metal hook! Let's think about this. Cowell's methods must have something to do with that water...
The deceased's name is Cowell, Linney... Lynette was in the magic box on stage. I remember there was something else. The rope that strung the water tank up was lit by the fireworks and cut. As such, the water from the primordial sea should already have been prepped before Halsey... Now it seems like the hook rope was not meant for another magic trick, but was instead some form of... Lynette was in the magic box on stage. I remember there was something... The rope that strung the water... The water from the primordial sea... Now it seems like the hook rope would... Now it seems like the hook rope would... The rope that strung the water... I remember there was something...
It's Ace Detective Pipe! In the original plan, Cowell would tamper with the water tank rope and the number selector securing his target. When the magic box containing Halsey was lowered, the metal hook would retract gradually and pierce the balloon at the top of the box. When the balloon attached to the box popped, the water from the primordial seed inside it would pour down and... dissolve Halsey. Afterward, Cowell would enter the tunnel and break the flower vase to conceal the water inside the tunnel, with the remaining evidence being covered up by the water tank on stage. But he encountered something unexpected in the tunnel, and wound up being fatally hit by the same water tank he meant to use to...
Huh. That does make sense.
That actually links together a lot of the more confusing pieces of...
Oh dear, what do I do? Even I think they sound convincing now. Have I...
Now, it seems like the only point of contention remaining is the exact circumstances that led to Cal's death. His notes mentioned he had an accomplice who could be related to the situation.
On that note, the guards have just contacted me indicating that they I shall now invite him on stage to share it with us.
Thank you, Your Honor. We were just inspecting the luggage of the other and we found an identical sample of the water from the primordial sea among Linney's personal effects.
What?
That can't be. Does this not clear, my dear citizens? My loyal... Linney did not need to take part in the dissolution of the young woman at all. Indeed, he did leave the scene via the vent. Having made modifications to the props beforehand, his accomplice Cowl then... But upon his return, in cruel avarice, Linny desired so ultimately, he knocked Cowl out, and the tool meant to cover the crime up also became... Now, as much as I regret having come to such a viciously straightforward conclusion, am I right?
We've used up all the evidence we collected. Is this the end of the...
Oh no! Seems using the water as new evidence was...
I think we've all seen enough now. And I believe this is indeed the finale! Now then, my good, noble Chief Justice.
Excuse me, everyone, but I must interject!
Miss, I must ask you not to...
Oh, come on. Don't be hasty. I have a good reason for interrupting, you know. Now, would anyone here like to take a little break from all this? I'll show you an amazing trick. One that can bring a young woman who has disappeared back in the flesh, right before your very eyes. Please, do the honors, Miss. What in the...
No offense, miss, but miracles like that are beyond my scope as a...
Come on now, don't be silly. Magic is all about misdirection, isn't it? It often conceals the truth while presenting a fascinating illusion. But once everyone believes the illusion, can't magic reveal the truth to... And wouldn't such a trick be the most marvelous finale to today's performance? Come on, Linny and Lynette. Give it another go. Don't worry. Spina di Rasula has made the necessary arrangements on your behalf. But as the magic makers and stars of the show, I think I should leave the final performance to you.
I understand.
And voila!
Sorry for the interruption.
Wait, isn't that Halsey? So...
To be clear, I'm only here because this person told me that if I testified, the merit of doing so would lessen my sentence. I was hiding outside this room listening to the proceedings because I was afraid that I would be the one. I was just feeling happy that no one had noticed me. And then before I knew it, she...
That'll teach you to underestimate...
Where should I begin? I'm sorry.
What? What?
Firstly, my name isn't Halsey. It's Lillian. And I'm originally from I heard that Linny's show was gonna be a real thriller, but I missed the chance to buy a ticket, so that's how I make a living. I steal stuff here and there. But I was noticed at the harbor a few days ago, and I barely got away. Linny was the one who caught me in the act.
Hey! No wonder you look familiar! Liddy even mentioned that you were pretty...
Well, and I thought that would have been the end of it, but then the number selector chose me. He even mentioned the Fortress of Meripede. That's a prison, isn't it? So you can imagine how shocked I was. I thought he was onto me for sure. So I played along with the show while looking for an opening to flee, but then I got water poured on me for no reason, and then someone jumped into the tunnel to nab me. I wasn't going to take that lying down, so I knocked... There was nowhere to run from there, though, so I had to change my clothes and hide in a... I slipped out after the first guard arrived at the scene, and continued hiding inside the opera.
Can a person even hide in there?
But I swear, I didn't know that the water tank would fall down. Really, I swear it. Had I known that, I wouldn't have put him in the magic box.
Well, that makes everything pretty clear now, doesn't it?
This time, we need to tell the entire... The strange... The flower vase was... was afraid that...
And it's Ace Detective Paimon! Having been selected out of the blue, Lily, her panic only intensified after she entered the tunnel and had water poured on her head. So she kicked the door open, producing the thud we all heard. Hearing the commotion, Cowell leapt into the tunnel, only to discover that Lily-Ann had not dissolved. He did not know that Lily-Ann was not from Fontaine, but was mistakenly believing that the water from the primordial sea needed time to take. The two broke the flower vase during the struggle, but Lily-Ann came out with no way of escaping. She changed her clothes and hid in the costume trunk until the performance ended. She knew that she would have to go through guard inspection if she tried to leave afterward. So, she has been trapped in the opera house these...
She had already become desperately hungry by the time we were chatting over macarons. So, she swiped 2 of them right under our noses.
At this point, all the events that happened in the...
So bravo!
Now then, Lady Farina, do you wish to speak again? Please answer the question, Lady Farina. Also, if I may add, the trial has not yet ended. As such, I request that the prosecution not leave the room before the
What? Are you reading my mind now? No, I have no further arguments. I admit defeat. But really, could you at least have left me with some dignity?
Wow, look at that! She's like a deflated...
If there are no objections, then as the Chief Justice of Fontaine, I shall... The actual perpetrator of the serial disappearances, Cowell, selected his next victim from the audience reservation. With some modifications to the selector, he could ensure that to cover up any evidence while committing the deed, Cowell thought of allowing the water tank to fall, which would conceal the water left behind after the young woman was dissolved. He also tampered with the rope suspending the water tank, using the fireworks at the end of the performance to cause the tank to drop and hide the watermarks. He poured the water from the primordial sea into a balloon during the preparation of the magic box and stuck it to the box's lid. Finally, he passed the prepared hook on a rope through the gap in the magic box's door when bringing the young woman to. When the magic trick officially began, the box containing the woman was lowered into the tunnel, tightening the hook rope and bursting the balloon. If all had gone to plan, the young woman would be dissolved at this time. However, Lily-Ann was not from Fontaine, and thus fled the box with a loud noise. Realizing that there was trouble, Cowell entered the tunnel and met Lily-Ann, thinking that the waters had not yet taken. However, his opponent was more capable than he thought, and he was overcome, knocked unconscious. Lily-Ann, according to her own statements, then changed clothes and hid until the performance ended, before hiding in other parts of the opera house. As for Linny, he was in the underground structures within the opera. From this reconstruction of events, we can conclude that Linny, the accused...
Hooray, Linny and Lynette!
While there is much in Linny and Lily-Ann's conduct that should still be in this case at least, can be handed over to the oratories to... As such, Linny and Lynette are officially declared not guilty.
Great work, partners.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Next, I think we deserve an explanation, Guard Vaughn. How did you find the water from the primordial sea in Linny's...
Right! Your discovery caused me to make a serious mistake, you know!
I suspect that the accomplice mentioned in Cowell's notes was not Linny, but you, yeah? I'm sure you know what you must do to lessen your sentence.
Speak quickly! Unless you want to earn yourself a one-way ticket.
I was just we were supposed to place blame for the serial disappearances onto Linny, and thus cause suspicion to fall on the Fatui.
And now that your plan has fallen through, and the secrets of the water have been revealed, therefore you would be wise to tell everything.
Yes! Our boss discovered that the water can cause people to dissolve. It can also be made into a potion, which when extremely diluted, can cause... We've been in this business for a while now, and have made decent mora off it.
And now he can no longer...
Such ruthlessness.
An outrageous act. All present, please submit to inspection immediately.
So, we're just going back now? That's true, but...
Traveler, Paimon! Please wait.
Linny...
I know you may not want to speak to me right now. Maybe you don't, but still. Let me thank you again for defending me to the end. Even after you learned that I'm a member, I guess. But I didn't approach you with any ulterior motives or ill intent. I've spoken to you as myself, just plain. As for why I'm a Fatus, it's because the goals of the House of the Hearth align with those of... That was how Father, who you might know as the Knave...
The Knave? The one who controls the House of the Hearth? She's your father?
That's right. And since we're here, I was wondering, back when our parents first died, Lynette and I were left wanting to survive. I took to surreptitiously observing an older street performer who did magic. I took my sister through several streets until we found a crowded... To my surprise, we proved to be pretty popular, and we could at least stop worrying about where our next meal would come from for a time. But before long, an aristocrat came to me and claimed that he wished to take us in after watching my performances.
So you went from orphans to nobility, just like...
That was how we felt at first, too. As if fate was on our side, But I gradually discovered that while we were called foster children, he would constantly take me to all sorts of banquets to garner attention, which he would then use to expand his social circles.
That doesn't seem too bad either. Better than...
It took a while for me to realize just how dark his heart really was. After one particular performance at a banquet, I discovered that Lynette was not on the same return vehicle. I waited a long time after we returned home, but she did not. The answer he gave me was... She caught the eye of the most eminent person at the banquet, so I sent her over as a gift. I mean, you'll be able to perform your magic regardless of who you're...
Oh no. So he was gonna... But wouldn't Fontaine's laws do...
As far as outsiders are concerned, this is a relationship akin to adoption or foster care, and they have their ways of escaping the eye of the law. I managed to ferret out the location of the mansion of that so-called eminent person, and hurried through the night. All I saw was the moonlit ground covered in blood.
So, she'd already taken...
That's right. She had rescued my sister before she could come to any harm, and had even discovered several girls hidden. Father, the Knave, might have seen something in me. The House of the Hearth welcomes you, for your interests align with ours. I was hesitant to trust her. But she was also quick to destroy the noble who had taken us in at first, giving us...
Oh, so that's how the two of you joined the House of the Hearth.
She has gained permission from the Tsaritsa to first use the Gnosis' power when she obtains it. She plans to...
So, she believes in that...
That's right. The whole House of the Hearth is currently working to combat... Today's case has also proven that people from Fontaine can indeed dissolve into some sort of water. All of us house members here, Lady Arlecchino herself included, are from Fontaine. We won't give up. To us orphans, the only connection we have left to this world, apart from our family...
So, from small deeds like distributing magic pockets, to huge schemes like...
It's alright. I understand. I just hope you can understand that even as a member of the House, I have never stopped making my own decision. If you should need anything at all in the future, feel free to find me. I will do my best to help you.
Bye, Linny!
Hey there. What was with the disappearing act you pulled right as the trial ended?
Were you looking for us now?
Well, this whole thing isn't exactly over, is it? I do feel that we're getting... Huh? What's wrong, my dear partner?
Besides, are you sure we're the ones who can And given that there's new evidence from the trial...
Ah, I see. Well, I won't lie. I'm a little shocked to hear that from you. Sorry.
Don't say that now.
Aw, and we were having so much fun investigating with you, too. It was like having new waters flowing into a stagnant mire, causing new hope to spring forth, and... sorry about that. Wait, shall we have a farewell meal?
Huh? Do we really need to get that far?
Well, I'd just like to have a proper ending to every important memory. Anyway, it would just be a meal, so it shouldn't take up too much.
You don't have to twist Paimon's arm. If Boss Navi...
Oh, wonderful. In that case, why don't we return to the court of Fontaine and head to the Hotel de Boer? I believe we'll make...
All right, then. Let's have our
I came here several times with my father when I was little, but stopped eating here as often after growing up.
Oh, don't worry. We haven't eaten at a hotel like this.
Oh, in that case, I'll go order for...
Ooh, everything looks so good.
Why, of course. Go ahead, try whatever you like. If the food's good, I'll make a group reservation for the rest of Spina...
And if it's not?
Well, then I'll still bring everyone. Albeit with only one dish per...
Yeah. Sure. Oh, we called this a farewell meal, but we could also treat it like a victory feast, right? We did...
Oh, true. Very true.
Huh? Paimon didn't... Speaking of cases, do you think that the mastermind behind...
Well, we've certainly taken a big step forward, but I feel that's about it. We know that there's an organization that...
If it hadn't happened right in front of us, Paimon wouldn't have ever believed that a person could be...
Right? Yet it was because this was such...
Ugh. If only that guy could have finished speaking!
In such investigations, even the smallest step can seem like To be honest, I don't have high hopes for any follow-up that the authorities might It's not that I don't have faith in their ability. It's just, it's easy to guard against and deceive a single narrow perspective. Which is exactly why the Spina di Rosula those highfalutin folk are not all-knowing. That's why we exist. To seep into the cracks where...
Seems Paimon...
It's all right. Well, let's talk about something else. Like, what are your future plans?
That's true. We didn't have a chance to speak to her after the trial.
I see. So, your primary... I've heard that there's a long line of people waiting to meet Lady Farina. I suspect you'll be waiting for quite a while.
Yeah, we've heard that she's super popular here in Fontaine.
Well, would you consider some more, you...
Guess that's Spina di Rosula's boss for you. Chock full of
Well, one way would be to infiltrate a performance troupe at the Opera House, only to abandon your act at the play's climax and ask to speak to her after the performance. I'm sure Lady Farina would be eager to see the ending, and would...
Could you suggest something a little more practical?
All right, here's another. Find a way to conceal yourselves under her bed. Then, wake her. I can personally testify that this one works. When I'm sleepy, I'll do anything as long as...
That might work, but that's not really...
Valid point. I overlooked that part. I was just all right, no more joking around. You did defeat her in court, clearing citizens of hers from false accusations.
You mean that if we catch her while she's on a break, she might be too embarrassed to refuse? Oh, that does make some sense. Why don't we give it a try after this meal? You know.
Huh? Paimon?
Was this your drink? Sorry about that. Paimon wasn't really paying attention and the cup was right next to Paimon.
No, it's fine. We're just...
Alright. Honestly, Paimon wouldn't recommend Fonta anyway. It tastes kind of salty and icky.
Is that so? Well, if we're all finished eating, then I'll go pay.
Yeah, we're stuffed. Oh, so full. Paimon can barely float anymore. Nah, that would be so...
Okay.
Hey, Navia! What are you doing?
Oh, nothing. It was just a meal, you know? Nothing the Spina di Rosula can't cover.
Let's get ready to...
So this is goodbye, huh? Well, if you do encounter any other trouble in Fontaine, you're all... in any case, I'm...
See ya! There aren't many people around anymore. Looks like that boat we took to Irenaeus might have been the last one.
Vache.
Looks like we're back here again, huh? Traveler? Ugh.
Vache? Vache.
Hey, why are you still walking towards it? There might be something that... Huh? Hang on. Hey, Traveler? Stop walking! Come on, wake up!
Vache, are you... No, wait. You seem to be someone else. Wait, my memories feel like they have been washed away like a flood. So how much have I lost? How many things that I once held dear while on land? Yes, that is what I was once. I do not know how I came to be like this either. I only vaguely remember being covered in... I also remember going to... No matter where I went, Vache would go with me. But now... we can no longer go back. No! Our reunion no longer has... The thought of me gives him no succor. So let it lie. If you meet Vache, tell him not to look for me. Tell him to... Perhaps that is so. As I was submerged in the waters. If only I could have comforted him. Told him that I did not suffer. Indeed, I had felt a great... Is that what you call it? Dissolve. It was a state of neither fear nor frenzy. I could also liken it to being a thirsty person who drinks water for the first time, and only then sees how they have lived. I think I hear your companion. Farewell then. I am glad that you were able...
Look out!
Dear God, it's a whole army of Gardamex. Chlorand?
Quick, now's our chance!
I should thank you for lending us your sword there, Chlorand. But before I do so, could you
I followed you.
I believe that following someone without their knowledge is actually...
Mr. Callus's last wish was for me to ensure your safety, and...
Do not speak of my...
Sorry, demoiselle. I was not...
Thank you for your aid, Miss Clorand, but do keep an eye out for your manner of speech.
Sorry,
Whatever. What else do you know?
I doubt I know much more than you. But I believe that the mastermind behind the serial disappearances is very powerful. Your performance tonight will almost certainly attract their attention.
Huh. I'm sure they've known about me. And what about these Gardamex? I thought only those associated with them...
None of these mecha have serial numbers. I was sure to check a moment ago. They are not the ones used. I can only conclude that some powerful or wealthy party must have obtained them via illegal means, deploying them as a private force of sorts.
What? Your point being that they're out of Spina di Rosula's league, then?
Yes. Be careful, and do
I will continue investigating no matter what. We will bring the truth to light. That... Regardless, thank you for your help today, Clarand. But...
I do not think that they'll strike again anytime soon. So I shall stop following you.
Right. I suppose that's the best news we...
Demoiselle, I believe that Miss Clarand was being sincere with...
I know, I just... She's...
Oh, thank goodness! Paimon thought we were done! Those Gardamex came out of nowhere while you were unconscious, and not even... Oh, and there was that champion duelist named Clarand who came out to save us too! We got lucky there. Paimon probably couldn't have fought them off otherwise.
Oh, come now. Forget all that polite talk. That wasn't really a farewell meal we had back there. Not for me, anyway. As such, we're still partners. There's no need to...
It will take 50 years for me to match Demoiselle's magnanimity.
If it were me, I would have joined the Spina di Rosula.
All right, you two.
Actually, Navia, how did you know that we were in danger?
Well, to be honest, you're the one...
Huh? Really? Paimon can...
Yes. All thanks to you grabbing my drink. After we parted ways, I was on the way back to one of our bases when I thought the Fanta tasted kind of salty and icky. Fanta only comes in sweet flavors. So how could it have tasted salty? The cup...
So the Fanta had been spiked with water from...
Yes. So, if you hadn't drunk that cup from...
Spina di Rosula is preparing the grandest of awards for you as we speak for saving the boss.
Huh. Really?
I sent people to Hotel de Boer to investigate. But that's when I figured out that you might be in danger, and her...
What? Why would they go after us, too? All we did was defend Linny in court and help...
Well, you did foil a plan that they were probably pretty... Speaking of which, did anything strange...
Well, it can't be coincidence that the Traveler fainted just now. She said that she heard that voice... Oh, and this time Paimon heard it too! But it was real faint. Does this situation have to do with the primordial... Does that mean the primordial seawater raises someone's sensitivity?
That doesn't sound like too much of a bad thing, to be honest.
New intel?
Well, let's hear it, shall we? Oh. Vache. That name doesn't ring a bell. I suppose he hasn't stepped forward as a witness in court lately. Since he saw that young woman dissolve, he was at least at the... But he never gave testimony or any information regarding people dissolving in the primordial seawater. Could he have been... Yes, thank you. This is very important information indeed. We will continue to investigate. Oh, you mean you'll...
Well, you did say that our farewell meal didn't really count. And besides, we're in this now whether we like it or not. You're not gonna let those people who targeted us get off the hook so easily, are you, Traveler?
Demoiselle, do try not to look quite so pleased. You are the face of Spina di Rosula, after all.
You talk too much. Well, in that case, let's head back to what we also have some plans to go over, and hopefully we can deepen our bond.
Don't worry, you two. With us around, our base is definitely...